Greetings and welcome back to the Casual Wargamer. So, this afternoon, just before I left work, which was really annoying, Games Workshop finally delivered on their balanced data stuff. And I had a bit of a read through at the time, and I've read through some stuff on the internet during my lunch break and then this evening after work. It's quite interesting. And it certainly seems to have set the old internet and the community on fire. There's some stuff in there that I think is good. There's some stuff in there I think could have been better. All in all, I don't think there is a single thing I would say is bad. Although players of certain factions would probably very much disagree with me. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go into all the fiddly details. Points have gone up, points have gone down. My own Space Marines have actually dropped points, which is quite cool. I'm very pleased for that. It means I can get that extra unit in, which if you saw my video about how do you build a 1,000-point list, now I can actually get an extra unit or something in there. But you're not here for that. You're here for my thoughts on today's balanced data slate. Okay. So, the first thing I'm going to touch on is something that I have seen in other videos here on YouTube and on social media, and that's people complaining about the severity of the changes. One channel that I watch on and off for some of their small battle reports made a bit of a grumble today, saying that the rule book should be pretty much sacrosanct. What's in that rule book should stay the same. You shouldn't be messing with that. And to be honest, I get where he's coming from. You know, we've all just bought the rule book in the last 2 months, or we bought the Leviathan box, whatever. And now there is stuff in there that is wrong. And if you've got new players coming in and picking up that rule book, I kind of get it. They're not going to be happy that they've just forked out whatever it is, 40, 50 quid for a rule book. And it's 90% usable. And there's stuff in there that's wrong. But those of us that have been in this hobby for a while now knew this was coming. And it was necessary. I'm not a GW fanboy. I haven't been that since the 1980s. I grumble and I groan about them. But in this instance, they've done the game right. We've all said that, I think most of us have said that they've basically given us a beta test of 10th edition, and they've used us, the player base, to work out what isn't working. And this balance sheet is the result, and it's actually good. So let's just go through these. First and foremost is the change to devastating wounds. No longer do they cause mortal wounds. Mortal wounds now, I mean, don't quote me, I haven't gone through all the indices and whatnot to look at them. But I believe now mortal wounds are pretty much relegated to things like the grenade stratagem. Instead, devastating wounds just deal their damage to a target and allow no save. What's the difference between that and mortal wounds? Well, mortal wounds spill over. So if you have something that does 3 mortal wounds, it's doing 3 mortal wounds to a unit. It might kill off 3. Now, devastating wounds, one model will take that 3 wounds, regardless of how many wounds they actually have. This is down, of course, to the Eldari, those dirty, dirty space elves. And to be honest, this is a good change. People complaining that mortal wounds are gone, they haven't gone. They've just been consolidated to 1 model per shot. Otherwise, it's identical. Really is. There's no grumbles here. And this was needed. If you didn't think that this was needed, you probably are an Eldari player. Let's be honest. I like this. This gets a thumbs up from the casual wargamer. The second thing is towering, and praise the God Emperor that they've got rid of towering. This was an absolutely stupid rule, and whoever came up with it at GW needs a slap. So towering was basically that Titanic creatures or units could see through the ground floors of ruins. Doesn't matter where you were, you couldn't hide. As long as there was windows or open spaces or doors, they could see you. It's absolutely stupid. Knights already dealt far too much damage. They already high AP, high damage, high rate of fire quite often. But it did mean that they were also visible. Now, I think towering should never have been included, but now it's gone. They have to be partially in a ruin in order to gain the same effect as everybody else. Knights now can't be targeted unless they are likewise in part of a ruin or in open cover. It's only aircraft that are lumbered with it can always be shot at and can always shoot you malarkey, which I don't like. I don't even think aircraft should suffer that. This to me is awesome. I know night players are grumbling, they are grinding their teeth, but this was necessary to try and balance out knights. In saying that, I said I wasn't going to talk about the points, but knights have had a weird shift in points. A friend of mine plays Chaos Knights, and he's not happy. And there's a lot of comments I've seen basically saying it's now going to make Assault Knights more important than Shooty Knights. But if that means a bit more variety in lists, then hey, I'm all up for it. It was good. The other thing to do with this, and I don't agree with this, I take back what I said earlier. This is one thing which I don't think they should have done. Pardon me. Knights can no longer, Titanic units can no longer Overwatch, and I don't see the point to that. At the end of the day, they still need, even if they are high damage, high AP, whatever, they still need 6s to hit. It was fair enough. Now, Dreadnoughts, Power Fists, Thunderhammers, Giant Gribbly Beasts can all charge at a night and get there without being bothered. Pardon me again. So I don't think they should have included that. The next one is the amount of stratagems that you can play for free has been reduced quite severely. They've changed things to battle tactics and what have you. Again, I don't really see a point to this. I don't think this was ever an issue, but maybe it just never came up in games that I've played. But now there are certain things you can and cannot play. But, that's the swings and roundabouts one to me, not a problem. Battle Shock. Okay, so this is an odd one for me. This is a bit of a Mandela effect. Wobbly canvas for me. So, Insane Bravery, which allowed you previously to pass a failed Battle Shock test, is now limited. Now has to be done instead of the roll, and is limited to once per game. Well, all this time I thought it already was once per game. I'm guessing I'm getting it mixed up with the strat that allows you to ditch a card from the Leviathan deck, which is once per game. But I've been playing this as once per game, and I'm pretty sure nearly everybody else I have as well. So I don't think that's really going to make any difference to how I play. Games Workshop are hoping that this will make Battle Shock more relevant. I don't think it will. I think Battle Shock still needs a bit of a rehash. Because it's still only once per game, it's still only one unit that you're going to want to auto pass on. Even if you could use it every turn, like it's supposed to have been, it's still only one unit. I think instead of making something like this be once per turn, it should just be that certain Battle Shock effects, perhaps Shadow in the Warp, Shadow in the Warp, the abilities of Chaos Knights and so forth should include a penalty to your Battle Shock test. Force them to have a slightly worse Battle Shock, and you'll be good to go. Is there anything else that I think is particularly relevant here? Okay, so 2 things. Yes, I knew there was something I wanted to talk about. One, you know that a lot of this, especially the devastating / mortal wounds change, was done because of the Eldari. However, I don't think the change went far enough. I still think they're going to end up walking a lot of games. It's not necessarily, I mean, the mortal wounds thing was awful, but it's not just that. It's the fact that the fate dice mechanic flies in the face of how 40k plays. And I've seen this mentioned elsewhere as well. So basically, everyone else in the game, every other army, has to roll dice to do things. They have to look to chance and hope that they hit those 3s, those 6s, those whatever. Eldari don't do that. Eldari just go, I need a 6, there's a 6. I need a 3, there's a 3. That's not only is it overly strong. I know they're limited to a max of 12 dice over the correct duration of the game. But if they have a really good set of dice in those rolls, they're not having to worry about the random element of the game. I think that entire mechanic should have been put in a box, thrown in the sea. They should have made it that they get re-rolls. That throughout the game, let's I don't know, I'm just pulling wax out of my ears. They should have done it that they get a certain number of free re-rolls. So they haven't got to use the command re-roll stratagem. They can just go, here I've got 6 potential re-rolls, 8 potential re-rolls over the course of the game. This didn't get what I wanted. I'm going to chance fate and try and re-roll it. That would have been better. We'll see. I'm still not convinced it's enough for the Eldari. I think the Eldari need another wallop with the rebalance bat to see and see what happens. But now we've had this, we're going to have to wait at least another 4 months before they do anything else. The other thing for me, Death Guard. So a change was made to Death Guard so that they have, I think it's the Army Special rule rather than the detachment. They have a variety now of diseases they can inflict on units. And yeah, I think it's nice. It's anything to help that army get a bit better. However, they missed out. They should have given them Feel No Pain back again. This is the archetypal mechanic to me for Death Guard, and I can only hope that when Death Guard get their codex, that there is a detachment, I don't know, whatever it might be, where the rule is Nurgle units or Death Guard units in your army get a 6 up Feel No Pain or a 5 up Feel No Pain. I think that's how they should have done this. Death Guard players were clamoring for it. Even people I know who weren't Death Guard players were clamoring for it. They certainly should have included that somewhere rather than doing this. I just hope that the codex, when it comes out for them, includes some way of having Feel No Pain. Okay, so in a nutshell, there's obviously little extra bits and everything, but in a nutshell, that's the changes. The points are good. All of these are good. With, as I say, the only thing actually that came to mind after I said it was Overwatch from Titanic units. They should still be able to Overwatch. I don't see what that's all about. Well, there you go. Has 40k become a living rule set? Yes. Has it made the rulebook and, unfortunately, by points costs, even the new Tyranid Codex, which isn't even out for another 2 days at this point? You know, it's going to be annoying to a lot of players, but I think, yes, 40k as a living system is a good idea. It was originally something that was mentioned in 8th edition. The whole idea was at the end of the year you would get your Munitorum field manual and what have you, and your chapter approved, and that would change the game. But that's obviously not the rule book. The rule book has changed. But the idea of a living system is a good one. The only thing I would say in regards to the rule book, and they won't do it, is that each year they should re-release the rule book with the changes in it. To do otherwise, I think, is very bad form. We might see it if come January, as in past years, we get a new campaign set, like Arcs of Omen. You might be able to use that with all the rules in it. Anyway, enough waffling for me. What are your thoughts? Pop them down below. Let's see your. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Neutral? Give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next vid. Which at this point is probably going to be the Tyranid Codex review once I've picked it up this weekend. Until then, guys, take care. Good gaming.